When discussing the topic of old money families in Africa, all too often the common assumption is that these dynasties are of European descent. Indeed, the history of European commerce interacting with Africa's abundant natural resources is characterized by centuries of tension, division, and societal upheaval. But what if we were to tell you that the current richest person in Africa doesn't just belong to an old money family with a legacy of wealth spanning over 100 years? He isn't even the first member of his family to be crowned the richest person on the continent. On today's episode, we dive into the story of perhaps the quintessential old money family of Africa. And they're not of European descent. In fact, this family is so prominent that they've not just had not one, not two, but three members, each at different times, reported as the richest individuals in West Africa. Therefore, join us as we explore the fascinating journey of this extraordinary legacy, home to the current richest man in Africa, describing the Dangote family, the secret old money family that owns West Africa. Aliko Dangote, Nigeria's very own business titan and philanthropist, has bank accounts bursting at the seams with a net worth of $13.9 billion, says Forbes. Bloomberg, however, ups the ante to a whopping $22 billion. Why the disparity? Well, pinning down the exact worth of this mogul is like trying to catch smoke. It's all about different calculations and the ever-fluctuating tides of stocks and currency rates. Now, Dangote, the kingpin of Dangote Industries, has his fingers in many pies: cement, sugar, salt, oil, you name it. And the crown jewel of his empire is a commanding 86% stake in Dangote Cement, the heavyweight of cement production in sub-Saharan Africa, churning out 48.6 million metric tons yearly across 10 countries. But that's just the tip of the diamond-encrusted iceberg, with stakes in Dangote Sugar, Nascon Allied Industries, and United Bank for Africa adding to the mix. Furthermore, Dangote's been cooking up a $19 billion oil refinery, a game-changer for Nigeria's oil dependency. This behemoth project, not even counted yet in his current fortune, could churn out $30 billion annually from a smorgasbord of petroleum products. And this move could skyrocket Dangote's wealth and reshape Nigeria's economic landscape. And, in a dramatic twist, Dangote Cement's shares doubled in the last month, padding Dangote's pockets with an extra $6.9 billion. Credit partly goes to Nigerian tycoon Femi Otedola's buying spree, boosting Dangote's wealth to its highest in a decade. And despite political shuffles and currency devaluation post-election, Dangote's fortune still ballooned by $400 million, crowning him Africa's richest for the 13th consecutive year. Yes, year, not month. But what's a billionaire without a touch of extravagance? Dangote's Lagos mansion, a modest $25 million affair, sprawls over 3 hectares and boasts a garage for 100 cars. And his garage is a petrolhead's dream, a Maybach 57S night luxury tricked out by Night Luxury with a carbon fiber facelift and a 712 horsepower engine, a classy Mercedes-Benz CL65 AMG with a turbocharged V12, a $2 million Bugatti Veyron that's as fast as it is pricey, and a Bentley Mulsanne, the epitome of Bentley's craftsmanship. And let's not forget his wings: 2 private jets, including a $45 million Bombardier Global Express XRS and a $43 million yacht, a floating testament to his success. Furthermore, even Dangote's taste in watches is nothing short of opulent. For his daughter Fatima's wedding, he picked out a Harry Winston diamond watch, a snip at 32,000s. Speaking of Dangote's children, including Fatima, Halima, and Abdulrahman Fasasi, they lead lives as fascinating as their father. And they don't just bask in the shadow of daddy's fortune. They're carving their own niches, particularly in the luxe world of high society. While the family keeps a tight lid on their private life, they're no strangers to the glittering social circuit, often gracing high-profile events with their presence. Halima Dangote, for example, echoing her father's business acumen, is a familiar face in these elite gatherings, known for her poise and elegance. But it's not all champagne and caviar. They're deeply rooted in philanthropy, mirroring Aliko Dangote's commitment to bettering lives. With giving back on our minds, Aliko Dangote isn't just about amassing wealth. He's equally passionate about spreading it. In March 2014, he generously endowed his Aliko Dangote Foundation with $1.25 billion, amplifying its impact in health, education, and economic empowerment. He's also teamed up with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to tackle polio and other pressing issues. And this philanthropic spirit trickles down to his children, who actively partake in various charitable endeavors, proving that the Dangote legacy is as much about generosity as it is about wealth. Now, while it's all well and good to hear about the fabulously wealthy current generation of the family, you've probably been wondering since the intro of this video how Aliko came to be not even the first member of his family to don the title of Africa's richest man. In order to do that, we'll have to circle back to the African sands of the 19th century to learn the lessons of the family patriarch who went from humble beginnings to the richest man in the cradle of humanity. The Dangote family's legacy originates in Bebeji, now located within the contemporary boundaries of Nigeria's Kano state. Now, the dynasty's rise to power first began with the birth of the future richest man in sub-Saharan Africa, the legendary family patriarch Alhassan Dantata, in 1877. It was here, within the historic Kano Emirate, an erstwhile pre-colonial state and a part of the Sokoto Caliphate established in the 19th century, that Dantata was poised to become a prominent figure in Africa's commercial history. Now, Dantata's upbringing was deeply rooted in the culture of the Hausa people, one of the largest ethnic groups in Africa. And during the 1870s, the Hausa, renowned for their trading prowess, were central to the intricate tribal networks that shaped northern Nigeria. These groups, including the Fulani, who were often closely associated with the Hausa in cultural and governance aspects, significantly influenced the region's social and political framework, and Dantata's early life was marked by his lineage in the Agalawa trading family. The caravan trade routes, central to his parents Abdullahi and Fatima Maduga Amaria's livelihood, were a defining aspect of his heritage. However, Dantata's world was transformed with the early loss of his parents, catapulting him into unforeseen challenges. Responsibility and care for Dantata then fell to Tata, a loyal servant in the family. Honoring this guardian, he adopted the name Dantata, meaning son of Tata, a moniker that would not only reflect his humble beginnings, but also stand as a symbol of the resilience and strength that would come to define one of Africa's most distinguished families. Dantata's education began at a Quranic school in Bebeji. With his father's wealth seemingly dissipated, he was compelled to fend for himself, and he worked diligently, saving his earnings in a traditional pottery vessel known as asusu. Soon, his keen business sense and relentless work ethic propelled him to become a successful trader. You see, Dantata specialized in kola nuts and groundnuts, and his trade networks reached across Europe, and by 1922 he had emerged as Kano's wealthiest businessman, surpassing his contemporaries in the trading sphere. Renowned for his meticulous financial management and close supervision of his workforce, Dantata's approach to business was methodical and disciplined, and as a pioneering merchant in adopting bookkeeping practices, Dantata's attention to detail played a crucial role in his commercial triumphs. And his wife, Amina Uma Zaria, was not just a supportive partner, but a businesswoman in her own right. She managed a network of agents across Kano City, ensuring the efficient distribution of goods to women and the timely collection of payments. Thus, as Dantata's life progressed, he imparted valuable lessons to his descendants, emphasizing the importance of maintaining the family's commercial heritage and the value of strong familial ties. This legacy of wisdom and entrepreneurial spirit continues to resonate within the Dantata family, guiding successive generations in their endeavors, and his final days were spent ensuring the survival and prosperity of his lineage. Upon Dantata's death in 1955, he was firmly placed as the richest man in West Africa, leading to his legacy as the very first member of Aliko Dangote's family to hold this distinction. Then, the mantle of leadership descended upon Aminu Dantata in 1960, and under Aminu's guiding star, the family business Alhassan Dantata and Sons expanded its horizons, venturing into new realms of building, construction, and trading. However, It wasn't simply Aminu who gained power after the patriarch passed. Dantata's 18 children, each a bearer of his legacy, received a piece of his empire, in accordance with the rhythms of Islamic tradition. Among them, one Sanusi Dantata, Aliko Dangote's grandfather, inherited a portion of this vast economic kingdom. Born from this rich heritage around 1919, also in Kano, Nigeria, Sanusi's early years were a brief time spent in formal education at Dala Elementary School. But this was a fleeting encounter before the magnetic pull of familial trade drew him into its orbit. And this shift from classroom to commerce was a common trajectory in his era, especially among those born into the bustling lanes of trade and entrepreneurship. Thus, in the next chapter, we'll find out how he began the second member of the family to become one of the wealthiest men in Africa. Sanusi Dantata's early life was steeped in the complex patrimonial system of his family's trading empire, and this intricate network, involving a legion of associates, agents, and farmers, was a vibrant ecosystem where Sanusi and his brother Aminu orchestrated the movements of about 200 agents. These agents, the lifeblood of their operations, dealt in commodities like kola nuts, livestock, and ground nuts, and this rich exposure to the subtleties of trade and commerce honed Sanusi's skills as a future entrepreneur. However, Sanusi's life was not just defined by commerce, but also by his deep cultural roots. As a devout Muslim, his spiritual journey mixed with his worldly pursuits, and he was not only a benefactor to the Qadiriyya, a prominent Islamic school of thought, but also a personal friend of its leading scholar. This spiritual dimension of his life was as vital as his business acumen. And by the swinging 60s, Sanusi had risen to become Nigeria's preeminent groundnut buying agent. His wealth, however, was not kept to himself. Instead, it was a wellspring of generosity, from which about 40,000 Great British pounds flowed annually in credit to friends and the less fortunate, a reflection of his magnanimity. Thus, under British colonial rule, the Dantata family flourished, trading in grains like oats and rice. And Sanusi's business prowess extended beyond Kano, making him one of the city's richest men. Now, the foundation of Dantata's empire rested on a patrimonial system, a complex network of credit, trade, and kin-based business transfers. This model comprised 5 autonomous levels, each integral to the procurement and transportation of goods from remote rural areas. Then, the 70s heralded a new era for the Dantata business saga, characterized by bold expansion and diversification. The family ventured into large-scale farming with Asada Farms and broadened their import business to encompass a wider range of building materials and vehicles. And their foresight to diversify into sectors like telecommunications and the automobile industry was a strategic move that fortified their commercial legacy. Thus, the Dantata family's story weaves through the fabric of Nigerian commerce, a narrative enriched by their astute business strategies, adaptability, and unshakable family bonds. And embedded in this tale of commerce and tradition is the connection to Aliko Dangote, Africa's current richest man. You see, his mother, Maria Sanusi Dantata, was Sanusi's daughter, intertwining the destinies of the Dantatas and Dangotes. The union of Maria and Mohammed Dangote, one of Sanusi's business associates and Aliko's father, was a meeting of 2 powerful African trading legacies, setting the stage for a new chapter in the page of Nigerian and African business history. In the dynamic realm of African business history, Aliko Dangote, born on the 10th of April 1957, stood out as an heir to a family where business acumen and wealth were not just inherited traits but deeply ingrained legacies. And growing up, Dangote was nurtured under the attentive guidance of his parents, the aforementioned Maria Sanusi Dantata and Mohammed Dangote. His early life was profoundly influenced by the commercial prowess of his grandfather, and this familial environment was rich in entrepreneurial ethos and teachings, shaping young Dangote's perspective on business and trade. Dangote's educational journey then commenced at Sheikh Ali Kumasi Madrasa, laying the foundation of his learning. He later attended Capital High School in Kano, furthering his academic pursuits, and these formative years played a pivotal role in molding his future business strategies and philosophies. Yet, even within the scholarly halls, his business inclinations sparkled. He turned pocket money into profit through savvy sweet trading. Post-high school, Dangote's quest for knowledge led him to Al-Azhar University, Egypt's beacon of Islamic learning, where he honed his business intellect with a degree in business administration. The 1980s thus welcomed a seasoned Dangote, armed with his degree, back to Nigeria's vibrant business arena. Born into a family synonymous with commerce, he was already no novice to the trade's ebb and flow, and his initial venture, a small trading firm established in 1977, laid the cornerstone for what would become the Dangote Group. With a loan from his uncle, he plunged into the trading of essentials: rice, sugar, salt, flour and cement, and his business prowess shone brightly as he swiftly repaid the loan within 3 months. 1981 subsequently saw the birth of the Dangote Group, a transformation of his modest firm into a burgeoning conglomerate. Early on, the group's focus was on importing and trading essential commodities, tapping into Nigeria's pulsating demand for these goods. You see, the group's philosophy was steeped in vertical integration, or controlling the journey of its products from importation to distribution. This approach not only streamlined operations, but also amplified profitability, setting a solid foundation for expansion. And throughout the 80s, Dangote's entrepreneurial canvas broadened. His trading routes blossomed into a diverse portfolio, establishing the Dangote Group as a towering presence in Nigeria and gradually across Africa. The group's evolution in this era was a prelude to its ascent as West Africa's largest conglomerate and a potent force in the regional economy. In the 1990s, the Dangote Group embarked on a monumental journey of transformation. Moving away from its established roots in trading, the group steered towards manufacturing, an audacious move aimed at substituting imports and meeting the burgeoning demands of Nigeria. And a defining moment of this era was Dangote's ingenious proposal to the Central Bank of Nigeria, an initiative that bolstered the group's stature and influence within the Nigerian economy. This period saw the group branching into textiles, flour milling, salt processing, and sugar refining, diversifying not only within Nigeria, but also marking its territory across other African nations. The group thus emerged as a cement production powerhouse, extending its reach to over 10 African countries. Therefore, the growth strategy of the Dangote Group was a blend of expansion and diversification, targeting sectors that promised high returns in rapidly developing economies. By the late 90s, the group had morphed into one of Nigeria's largest industrial conglomerates, commanding the sugar market and venturing into realms as diverse as real estate, banking, textiles, oil and gas. Consequently, in the mid-2000s, Dangote's ambition soared to new heights with the undertaking of the Obajana cement plant, one of the world's largest. Despite challenges, the group's valuation skyrocketed from $3.3 billion in 2008 to $17.3 billion in 2016. However, Dangote's journey to the zenith of wealth was not without its shadows. He faced controversies, including mentions in the Panama Papers and comparisons to other controversial business magnates. Nonetheless, his influence only grew, with his induction into the France-Nigeria Business Council further cementing his global business leadership. Specifically, Dangote's success is rooted in a relentless expansion and reinvestment ethos. With $16 billion in capital projects, including a flagship $14 billion refinery, his empire continued to flourish. And Dangote Cement became a colossus, dominating the African cement market and witnessing substantial revenue growth. However, as we know by now, the key to maintaining generational wealth and continuing to be old money is based on the patriarch's ability to pass on wealth and power to the next generation. Let's get an update on Aliko's children in the next chapter and bring our tale up to the present day. As 2024 unfolds, the Dangote family, an emblem of African entrepreneurial spirit, sees its youngest members actively steering the colossal ship of Dangote Industries Limited, exemplified by the formidable Miss Halima Dangote, Aliko's daughter. Halima, the Group Executive Director of Commercial Operations at DIL, orchestrates a broad swath of the conglomerate's operations, and her realm extends from overseeing commercial strategies to managing strategic procurement and branding. Since joining DIL in 2008, Halima has navigated through various executive roles, notably spearheading a pivotal turnaround as executive director of Dangote Flour Mills and guiding its subsequent sale to Olam. Her tenure at NASCON as an executive director further honed her expertise in consumer products, and beyond her corporate role, Halima serves as a trustee of the Aliko Dangote Foundation and a board member of Endeavour Nigeria, advocating for entrepreneurship and social advancement. And her educational background is as global as her vision, with a bachelor's in marketing from American Intercontinental University London and an MBA from Webster Business School, United Kingdom. Further complementing her academic credentials are leadership programs from prestigious institutions like Harvard Business School, Kellogg School of Management, and Columbia Business School. Therefore, the Dangote dynasty's aspirations transcend mere business success. They aim to be a transformative force across Africa. And now, we'd like to see you in the comments. Which wealthy family from Africa would you like us to feature next on our channel? We look forward to hearing from you, and thanks again for your continued viewership here with us at Old Money Luxury. Cheers, until next time.